Everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Brad Lone Wolf, and today we're going to be looking at water bottles and water carriers. Now, sometimes water carriers are called bladder bags or water carriers, water bags, whatever you want to call them. I'm going to do the usual. I'm going to go through each of the ones that I've got, go through their advantages, their disadvantages, and I'm actually going to come to a conclusion of which one I personally think is the best. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that everybody thinks it's the best one, and as with everything with outdoor equipment, it's all subjective. Everybody has their own preferences, and that's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. So without further ado, I'll change the camera's perspective. We'll have a look at the water carriers that I've got and discuss each one as we go along. Okay, so what I've got in front of me here are two Eurohike bags, an Osprey hydraulics water bag, and a bog standard water bottle. Now, I'll start with the bog standard water bottle to begin with, just because it's probably going to be quicker and easier to go through the pros and cons of a water bottle than a water bag to begin with. So bog standard water bottle, you've probably all seen them. They're generally made out of plastic or metal, usually very highly durable. You can get them in sizes ranging from 0.3 litres up to a litre, although the 0.3 litres are not that popular, so it can be quite hard to get hold of. But the half litre, the 0.6 litre and the 1 litres are generally quite easy to get hold of. As I say, they're made out of metal, so they're generally quite tough. They can be battered about a bit without fear of breaking or leaking. They can be used to, you can chill some of them down, so that it keeps whatever drink in there that you want to keep cooler. You can, in a survival situation, use them to purify water using the evaporation method, although it's not recommended because most of them are made out of aluminium, so you may end up leaching some of the aluminium into the water itself, which isn't good, but you can at a push use them for purifying water. The biggest advantage of these water bottles, as I say, they're very durable and they tend to be lightweight as well. They can be bashed about a bit and still be capable of holding water. The disadvantage, now this is quite a big one. The disadvantage of a water bottle, standard water bottle, it stays in your backpack. That's obviously where you want everything to be. However, it can potentially lead to dehydration. The reason being, to get the water bottle out, you have to stop, you have to rest, and you have to pull that water bottle out. Now, I'm guilty of this myself, and I know other people have been as well. When you've got a good pace going, you really don't want to stop and mess up that pace and have to try and get back up to that pace again. So stopping to take a drink kind of almost becomes secondary, and you kind of almost have to force yourself to do it, particularly, like I say, if you've got a good pace going. So with that being said, water bottles, they have their place. They are useful, and I will come on to this a little bit later on with the water bags. I will always recommend that you carry at least one of these, regardless of how big the water bag is that you have. Okay, with that being said, let's move on to the first of the water bags, and it's going to be the Osprey Hydraulics 3 litre. Now, I have used this recently, so it's still got some water in it. So the advantages of water bags, bladder bags, water carriers, whatever you want to call them, the overall advantage, the universal advantage of these carriers is that you can actually drink whilst you are walking, which obviously has a massive advantage in that you will stay hydrated as you're walking along or whatever activity you're doing. The disadvantage, unless you are acutely aware, you will not know how much you have drunk until the water bag's empty, which is obviously a massive disadvantage to one of these. So the pros and the cons kind of outweighed by each other. This is why I will say, no matter which water carrier you go for, whatever water carrier you go for, always take a water bottle, a standard water bottle with you. Because if you run out of water there, you've got, in this case, a litre backup. So you're not completely out of water. That does unfortunately lead to another disadvantage in that the water carrier itself, this one in particular, is 3 litres, which is 3 kilos of weight, plus an extra litre, which is an extra kilo of weight. So that's potentially 4 kilos of water you've got on your back, which isn't a bad thing, but 4 kilos of extra stuff, 4 kilos of weight that you might not need. And I say that very curiously, might not need. Water's always useful, but if you end up only drinking 2 litres of this, you're still carrying 2 extra kilos that you didn't need. Then again, the advice of having it or not having it and not needing it comes into play in this effect. Anyway, that's kind of a circular argument, as it were. So I'm going to break that cycle now and move on and talk about the Osprey Hydraulics 3 litre bag. This bag has always been a bit of a love-hate relationship, I will admit it, with this water carrier. First of all, and I can understand why Osprey have done this, I can understand it completely. They've made the back solid, so it's got a little bit more durability than the other water carriers, but it's not got the same durability as an all metal water carrier would have. This does lead into the fact that this obviously is stronger. Technically it holds the water, or technically there's not going to be as much problem in holding the water. It's going to retain its rigidity as you fill it up. The disadvantage, however, is because it's solid, it's not flexible and it doesn't fit in really into an area where it should really fit in. So there's only a few spaces and a few pockets within rucksacks that it will fit in. A lot of the Osprey bags have got a dedicated water carrying bag, same with a lot of other bags. But these really won't fit in anything other than an Osprey bag. That's not quite true, but they're just not designed for Ospreys. Anything other than Ospreys, really. The other thing I like about this, the big old chunky carry handle right there. So it makes it a lot easier to carry, particularly when the bag is full. Makes it a lot easier to carry when it's full. And I do like that. I do like that advantage. The other advantage, the other thing that I do really like about the Osprey hydraulic bags, and they were one of the first to do this actually, very positive on-off tap. So that you're not going to get any water leakage through this pipe. So in that position you can drink, in the 90-degree position. In the inline position like that, it's cut off, so no water can leak through the pipe at all. It can lead to some people forgetting to spin that either way, so they'll either leave it like that and end up with water dripping down and losing water that way, or they'll leave it that way and wonder why they haven't got any water coming through. But it's a nice positive feature in that you're not going to lose any water out of there. Sticking with the drinking end, with the spout end. Disadvantage. Anybody who's bought one of these probably has the same story. These are designed to clip magnetically to your rucksack strap. Now when I say magnetically, there's a separate clip that goes on there that's held onto your rucksack strap, and then that magnet holds on to the clip. However, I've lost the clip, which probably doesn't come as a surprise, but I have actually lost that clip. It's not too bad though, as most rucksacks that are designed to carry water carriers, they've actually got like an elasticated strap on one of the rucksack straps, shoulder straps, to hold this in place. Another disadvantage to these is, although it says 3 litres of water, it's got 3 litres of carrying capacity, that can be debated. Because although it says 3 litres up to there, there's a great big hole there, so that when you fill it up, you can actually only get to just over 2, maybe, litres before it starts spilling out. So although the bag capacity itself is 3 litres, it's doubtful whether you'll actually get that much in there. Now this is going to come as a little bit of a contradiction, but the opening here is both an advantage and a disadvantage, but to me it's more of a disadvantage, but more of a con. Reason being is, although it's nice and big, and you can obviously do it up and undo it with wet hands, the thread doesn't always bite straight away, and I've lost water out of this one considerably, because that wouldn't bite in at all. However, that pales in comparison to the biggest disadvantage of this water bag, and the one that I really don't like, and you can probably see why I don't like this bag. Trying to empty and dry this bag is a friggin' nightmare. You can buy systems that will hold the bag open to allow the water to evaporate. However, that's extra money to spend, and that's not necessarily, you don't necessarily have that money to spend or don't want to spend it. Now obviously that will lead to a gradual build up of mold and bacteria inside this water carrier, and the very first one I had suffered from that, and I had to throw it away in the end, because I just couldn't air it out properly. Now you can stick sticks in there and things like that to dry the bag out, and there's nothing wrong with that. However, when you look at the other carrier bag, the other water bags that I'm going to show you, you'll see why this system really isn't the best system. So with that being said, I'll move on now to the next one. So, which is going to be, this one. Now, this one, if you've watched the video on this little thing, you'll have seen this bag, this water carrier already. Now, we're not going to focus on that. That's just a water filter. We're going to focus on the actual carrier itself. Now, this is by Eurohike. I can't get it in a way that the pipe's not going to throw it around. This is by Eurohike. This one, it's a 1.5 litre bag, and it's got the same disadvantage in the opening as the Osprey, and it's got an even smaller water cap, which makes it even more difficult to do up when the bag is filled. Not impossible, just a bit more difficult. Still got the same idea though, so you can do it up and undo it when it's wet with wet hands, but the actual cap itself isn't that great. However, it is slightly better than the Osprey bag in that it is more flexible, so that when you're done with it, you can roll it up and it takes up less space. You can, well, I can't with this one because I've got the filter on it, you can actually make an emergency splint out of these by pushing air back into the system, and I've done that on first aid training. I've made an emergency splint out of one of these. Never done it in real life, so I don't know whether it's actually worth it, but in first aid training it was passed with flying colours, so I'm quite happy with that. The spout itself, although I was saying the Osprey was very, very good in terms of keeping water back when you're not drinking it, I personally think this one is just very, very slightly better in that it's very positive on and off, and it even has it marked on there. So one way will let the water flow, turn it the other way and it will stop. It's also got a backup spout, not backup spout, it's got a backup in the self-sealing silicone there to stop water coming through. It's not as perfect, not as positive as the tap, but it's there as a backup. In terms of cleaning this one out, and this is where the biggest advantage comes from over the Osprey, this one obviously you can leave it out and you can actually again put a stick or something up there to keep the bag open to dry it out. But the other advantage, and this is where this one is better than the Osprey, the actual pipe itself, come on, the pipe itself actually unscrews. So cleaning and drying this Eurohike bag out is actually easier and better than the Osprey bag. It's not, however, the best one. In my opinion, the one I'm going to show you next is possibly the best design out of all three water carriers. Now I'm saying the design, not necessarily the brand. The design is the best one out of all three of them, and you'll probably understand why once I've gone through it all. So let's bring it on, let's have a look at it, and I'll go through why I think this is possibly the best design of water carrier. Put that to one side. And this is it. It's yet another Eurohike bag. And again, you might be surprised at my choice of brand. However, like I say, this is not about the brand, this is about the design itself. So this water carrier, it is a 2 litre water carrier, and it's a very positive 2 litre water carrier. You might have already noticed, big opening at the top there. Big opening at the top that you can fill the water in with. Okay, you pour the water in, and you can actually get, sort of pipe out, can actually get 2 litres completely full, as it says on there. Then to seal it up, you have this little doohickey. So you fold the top over and then you slide that across. That is the bag completely sealed. Completely sealed. So there's absolutely no way that the water, if you've sealed it up properly, there's no way that your water is going to come out. Also, this, even with gloved hands, you can grip that. With the 2 reinforced plastic sides, you can not only use 2 hands, you can use 1 hand to keep the opening open. Fill it up with 2 litres of water. You drink it. This, to be honest, this is going to be probably the trickiest part, but we'll come on to that in a second. Completely filled up, and that's it, it's ready to go. Yes, it's 2 litres, so you would definitely need to carry a spare water bottle with you, if you know how much you're drinking. In terms of the pipe, it's got pull out, push in closure, so you don't even need to use your hands. You literally bite, pull, drink what you need, push back down. And then to give it even more security in terms of water not dripping down, it's got an overall cap, so if water does leak through, it's not getting past that, not easily anyway. The disadvantage to this one, or the con to this water carrier, we've already spoken about it, but I think it's minor in comparison to the massive pros of this water carrier, and that is the filling system. How easy could it be to lose that? Fairly easy. Fairly easy to lose that. But a bit of duct tape will seal that up temporarily if you needed it to, and I have seen it done. That wasn't lost, it was broken, but I have seen it done, and it works temporarily until you get back to base. When it comes to cleaning, however, this is where this bag excels over the others. In terms of cleaning, airing and drying this bag, it is second to none. And the reason for that, there is a push button there. Push it down, pull the pipe off. The pipe can then be cleaned completely, or not cleaned, but aired out completely. Particularly if you open up the other end, as I've just done, it allows water to evaporate out. Slight disadvantage in that when you go to put it back, you have to make sure it's obviously completely locked in place, otherwise you will get a little bit of water spillage. But that's easy enough to do, you just push that all the way through. In terms of cleaning out the bag itself, well, again, this is where this design has the others beat, because you open it out, you can actually use the closing itself as a way to keep the opening open, and the water will evaporate. Failing that, you can stand it upright. I've stood this upright over a mug or something like that, upside down like that, so that it drains and dries. So yeah, in terms of cleaning and drying, this one out is the easiest out of all 3 of them. So with that being said, although, like I say, the brands can be a little bit on the cheaper end of the market, which isn't a bad thing, surprisingly, it's one of the best designs out there. As I've already mentioned it, but I'll mention it again, I'll go through it again. The universal advantages to any of the water carriers that I've shown here, so this one, and this one, is that you can drink whilst you're on the go. The disadvantage, you don't know how much you've drunk until it's empty. The advantage with those, with the bog standard water bottle, you know how much you've drunk and how much water you have left, but you have to stop to drink out of them. Either system is absolutely fine, there's nothing wrong with them. It's your personal preference which one you go for. I'm just giving an overview of all of these and which one I consider the best as well. With that, I hope that helps. I hope that gives you a little bit more idea of what to look for with these. And thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.